If God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him.
That's a humdinger.
That's right. We watched Easy Rider this week on The Movie Gap, the podcast that has you scream.
How have you not seen that? 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 Little darling, how have you not seen this?
Welcome to this week's episode of The Movie Gap. I am your host, Chase Austin. And as always, the ne'er-do-well stoner hippie man to my right, Bryce Perkins.
What's up, man?
You have to stop doing that.
What? What am I doing?
The rubbing the mask on the microphone.
Well, you can hear that?
Yes, it sounds like you're in my ear.
Oh, my bad.
Like just nuzzling up on it.
You don't like?
I don't.
It doesn't give you the tickles?
No.
No? Little
ASMR or
ASMR?
ASMR?
Or
No.
AMSR?
I'll kick your ASMR. Anyway, Bryce, before we get into everything, we have a special guest this week.
That's correct.
It's a new friend of the show. Would you like you know him better?
And already fan favorite.
Yeah, already fan favorite. Why don't you give him a little intro? You know him better than me.
Well,
you go way back.
Well, our diehard fans will know him as lead guitarist and sometimes lead vocalist from Jody Seabody and the Whirls, Mr. Dave Merriett.
Hello.
Has joined us today. And originally we were going to have our good buddy Clint Rader on, otherwise known as Danera Appel, because his album was going to drop and he was going to promote his album. So Dave, if you could go ahead and promote Clint's album for him since you're here.
Well, it just so happened that I've listened to some of the tracks on the album. They entertained me greatly on my last drive.
Tight.
It's definitely worth paying what you can for it, getting it how you can, and supporting Clint.
All right. And that album does drop, should be dropping this week, if not next week or maybe last week, but it should be pretty close to this. And yes, I also have listened to a lot of it, or I've heard it all, and it's all very great. So yeah, stream that shit or buy it. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, we're glad to have you here. I'm excited to get into this movie with you. Bryce.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
It's been okay. It's been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think I can legally get into it right now. So yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Maybe next week when the muzzle of the Jehovah's Witness Protection Program is ripped from my maybe when I'm unshackled by the chains of their lawyers, I can talk more. But as of right now, I can't legally say anything.
But you're still like a god or something?
Oh, I might, yeah.
Okay.
I'm my own. I'm pursuing my
that
own.
Hasn't changed. Okay.
No, but I can't. I'm tied up right now by certain things, certain allegations, and maybe some court proceedings in the near future. I can't really talk about right now.
So I might need to be looking for a guest host.
Well, no, you won't, because I know the truth. All right. And the truth will set me free. That's something I came up with. People, the truth will set you free. If you want more wisdom like that, come join me. Follow me. But again.
Well, that's terribly exciting.
I can't really get more into it than that.
All right. Well, let's get into this movie then. All right. So Easy Rider, 1969. This is an American classic.
Yeah.
Bryce, well, before we get to you, Dave, what is your history with this movie? Like, have you seen it before? What did you know about it? First of all, had you seen it before?
Like I said, I've never. This is the first time sitting down watching it whole. It's one of my dad's favorite movies, and like was a classic that I would see my parents watch it, my dad watch it, my uncles, things like that. So anybody, old guys who ride motorcycles, you always see a poster of Easy Rider in the garage somewhere. So I kind of grew up being familiar with it and the themes, but never actually watching it.
Okay. Well, cool. All right. Bryce, what about you?
Yeah, I'd never seen it. I knew Jack Nicholson was in it. I don't really know I didn't really know about Peter Fonda or who was the main character or any of that stuff. The only thing I knew about this movie was that Jack Nicholson was in it and that it was like one of his first movies.
Oh, okay. So you really didn't know anything.
No, not at all.
All right.
Truly had no idea what to expect other than I knew motorcycles were part of it. And then there's the Easy Rider magazine that my family, when I was a kid, my mom and stepdad got into motorcycles. And so through there, hanging out with their friends or whatever, I'd see the Easy Rider magazine here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that maybe that had something to do with the movie and motorcycles, Other than that, no idea.
Well, why did this one why is this one that fell through your cracks, if you will? Is there any particular reason? I mean, there's no digging.
Probably just because it's an older movie.
Yeah.
That's it, really. And my, I don't know, Dave's dad, was watching all the time. I don't think it was a particular favorite of my dad's. My dad doesn't like Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Yeah, he's not a fan.
Huh.
So I don't know why. I'll have to ask him. But he says, I think to him, like how I am about Leo, that's how he is about Jack Nicholson. He thinks that he is the same.
Yeah. Well, and Jack Nicholson is very much the same. I've said it before. He's one of those actors who makes the character him as the character, not turns himself into the character. Like the opposite of a chameleon.
I was noticing he was doing some standard Jack Nicholson faces, even early on. This was
his first big movie. This was the thing that blew him to stardom.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Before this, he was doing a lot of smaller movies. He worked with Roger Corman a lot. In fact, but right before this, the movie that kind of inspired this was one with Peter Fonda called The Trip. It's all about this game show host guy taking acid, and he wrote it. He wrote that.
Peter Fonda did?
No.
Oh, Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
Oh, so they were friends.
Yeah, they knew each other. Yeah. So,
okay.
But and actually, Bruce Dern was originally supposed to play the Jack Nicholson part.
I don't know who that is. Laura Dern's dad?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah. In fact, we were just talking about Big Love. He was on Big Love.
Bruce Dern is?
Yeah.
Who is that guy? Is that old crotchety guy that always plays the old person?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
He has a real evil face.
Yeah. He's got an old man.
Yeah.
He
looks angry all the time.
Probably the last thing you saw him in was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay. What was he in that?
He was the old crotchety man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At the Manson ranch,
Oh.
Anyway.
Are you sure he wasn't playing
He's not
Bruce
in this
Lee?
movie. So yes, I'm sure he wasn't.
Was he in one of Quentin Tarantino's snuff films?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just wondering.
All right. Well, let's get into it then, Bryce.
Yeah.
What
I just put my notes down. Just put me notes down.
You gotta
get a swig. We got all kinds of acid and weed in here, man. Yeah. Taking a trip. We're gonna go to Mardi Gras, Chaz. No, just me. All right.
I just let you go there.
Iced
just let you sit
out.
there.
Iced out.
Come on, Chaz. You know you're feeling this shit, dude.
So yeah. Dennis Hopper doesn't even look like Dennis Hopper in this movie.
No.
That's my
this
first
is very, very young Dennis Hopper. very. He directed this,
Yeah.
so. But this entire movie, so like one of the big things about this movie, like the stories, is that they did real drugs, like on set. Now they did smoke real marijuana, but as Peter Fonda says, they didn't have the budget for all the other real drugs. However, Dennis Hopper was wildly on other drugs throughout the entire shoot of this movie, and was
on his own
a fucking disaster.
For real?
Just a maniac. Everybody hated him.
For real?
Dennis Hopper, I mean, yeah, like
even Peter Fonda?
Yeah, he tried to get him fired at some point.
Aren't they friends?
Yeah,
didn't they write it together?
But well, okay, so there's a lot of issues with the writing. So it was Peter Fonda's idea. All right. But they didn't actually. Write a full script. No, you're good.
No, he was actually just showing people that haven't seen Easy Rider a lot of what you see. in Easy Rider.
Yeah. So
editing technique.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So the idea came to Peter Fonda as like a modern day cowboy movie. He saw a picture of him and Bruce Dern, like we were talking, on motorcycles, and he was like, I got this idea for a movie. It's like a modern day Western.
Fonda or Hopper? Sorry.
Fonda.
I got the idea.
Yeah. So then, but then there's another guy who wrote it as well. Who's on? His name is I forget. Hold on. Terry Southern. Okay, but basically they didn't have a real script when they started shooting, and almost everything is ad-libbed in this movie.
That could, yeah.
And like you can kind of tell,
yeah,
it feels very natural.
The shots seem ad-libbed. You know?
Yeah,
like
so
what they put in there.
Yeah, so one of the things though is that they didn't really have an idea of how they were going to shoot it or what they were doing. They were just kind of shooting as they went.
Yeah,
and like they started out hiring, so they had their DP and like they had their main crew, but they also hired just like different crew wherever they were, and they ended up stopping that because Dennis Hopper kept fighting with these people like constantly.
For real?
And yeah, at one point Rip Torn was originally cast to play the Jack Nicholson character, but Rip Torn said Rip Torn said that in a pre-production meeting that Dennis Hopper pulled a knife on him, and then Hopper said, no, Rip Torn pulled a knife on me, and he ended up suing Rip Torn for defamation, and he won. So they both had
Jesus Christ,
some issues, but
drama central.
Yeah, Hopper has said, he goes, my creative drug of choice was not marijuana, and it showed in my behavior.
Hopper said that?
Yeah.
Oh,
in later years. So, but I mean, he was like out of his mind with stuff. He got in a fight at one point. I wrote it down here. He was super paranoid, and he got in a fight with the cameraman over the footage. He wanted all the footage that they had shot while they were staying in the hotel or whatever, because he was like paranoid and thought that they were going to take his movie away and all this stuff. So he's like, I got to have it. And the cameraman finally got fucking pissed off and just threw it at him. And they got in a fight, and they knocked over some hotel room door where Peter Fonda was in, and he was banging two girls in there.
Fonda was?
Yeah, Karen Black. It was the two girls from the movie.
Oh, really?
Karen Black, yeah, and Tony Basil, and he goes, it didn't distract Feisty's like, it didn't distract me long enough. I still threw a TV at Hopper. Like it was just
in the middle of banging.
Oh yeah, it was he was a disaster.
That's why he wanted to get Hopper fired. He's like, dude, I was scoring with two chicks.
Well, and then like Hopper was editing the whole movie himself, and every cut was anywhere between 4 to 5 hours long.
Oh, Jesus.
And so the producers like gave Hopper a trip to some islands or whatever, like either here, go take this trip, and then while he was gone, they were like, we got to get this fucking thing edited because it's not
really.
Yeah, so they chopped it down to the length that it is while he was gone, and he was like,
probably for the better.
Yeah, and he was pissed when he got back, but then like it was done, and he didn't care.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, he was a mess.
Wow.
And it shows he
so
is.
did he really direct it?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I mean,
or was it one of those things where he was so fucked up, so someone had to step in and kind of be like,
no, there was nobody to step in. They were off on their own.
Yeah, it was just
basically,
them.
the whole shoot was two. It was a camper that kept all the crew, and it was two big trucks. One that had like the equipment, and one that had the motorcycles.
Yeah,
and that was all that was there. They would go from place to place between California and New Orleans.
Wow.
So it was all shot pretty much on location. I know that the commune was actually in California because they couldn't get rights to shoot or permits to shoot in wherever it said the commune was, I think New Mexico or something. But yeah, it was all very there's no real plot to this movie.
No.
It's two guys make a big score and they're like, let's go to New Orleans. Then they get to New Orleans. They're like, let's go back.
Yeah.
And then they die. So,
right. Yeah.
But it is a drug fueled binge. Although Peter Fonda's character seems pretty cool the whole time.
Yeah, he's like the only level even killed. Well, I mean, I don't know. Dennis Hopper's character doesn't really change either. None of their characters really change.
Well, and it makes it so, like I said, it was the idea was that they were, it was like an old Western cowboys just going from town to town.
Yeah.
That's why their names are Billy and Wyatt. Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp. Wyatt Earp, the more level-headed. Billy the Kid.
Oh, his name was Wyatt?
Yeah, he only says it once.
I only heard him call him
Captain America. Yeah, they call him Captain America the whole time, except for the
most famous of the cowboys.
Think the very last campfire scene. There's a couple of scenes, of them camping out, and at that point, Billy says Wyatt. He calls him Wyatt.
Oh,
but Wyatt Earp is the lawman of the West, and Billy the Kid is the
who is Wyatt Earp? What is that? Where have I heard that name before?
Are you fucking?
He just told you. He just told you.
Not only did I just tell you, but it's Tombstone.
Yeah, no, I'm just playing.
Oh, God, I can't.
I find it.
Go ahead.
I find it funny, like I know it's a small amount of gear to have, for a movie, but still, I find it funny that they have that much stuff and still drugs weren't in the budget. Like,
that was.
That seems like an excuse, especially at that time in the late '60s.
Yeah, and
you can afford that much of camera equipment.
Well, the budget was only $360,000, which is real low even for back then. And this is one of those movies that started the directors owning their own thing and studios putting more money behind directors' visions and stuff. It was like this and The Graduate. And then you get all the 70s where Scorsese really takes off, and that's where Spielberg started and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, Spielberg did more studio friendly movies, but Scorsese with his grittiness and Kubrick, stuff like that. Then this is one of the movies that started that. This is also a movie that started. It's one of the first movies ever to use pre-existing music for its soundtrack.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's an everyday thing now, but back then.
That's what I was going to say, because, parts of it, when they were, especially when Born to be Wild came on, it kind of felt like a proto-music video or something, because there wasn't much dialogue going on, and we didn't really know much about the characters, so it just seemed like a music video of dudes riding on a motorcycle, and
and the whole thing with them getting scoring the coke and coming across the border. It was originally written. Fonda had written it that they were getting weed and bringing it over. And then they were like, "You can't make that kind of money with weed. Not that
especially
not on a motorcycle. They're like, you're gonna have to." He's like, "Well, I don't want." He's like, "What can we do?" He's like, "I don't want to fuck with heroin." So I was like, "Well, then." Coke. That's the one
in the middle. Yeah.
He's like, we'll just put a bunch of weed in our gas tank and come across. That's like $10.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Mexico ditch weed.
But imagine if they did still do it like that, and they were that stoked about scoring $100. Yeah, man, we did it. $100 man. Which back then, that could stretch a while.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Not like that.
That one guy, that hippie commune guy, that guy was a douche. Wasn't he?
The guy they pick up?
Yeah. I didn't like his like attitude. Like it's like, man, they picked you up and then just because they took you to your commune with all your buddies, and then just because you're there, you start acting like you're the shit. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like he started acting like he was like their god or something. I would have been like, man. I was on Billy's side with that one.
I want to go back to
please take me out of here.
I want to go back to the Coke deal real quick though.
Yeah.
Did you recognize their connection, their Mexican connection? That the person who played that guy was Phil Spector.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
The dude with the yellow glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy they sold it to.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Phil Spector, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Holy shit. I did not catch that at all.
Yep.
Well, yeah, good for him.
But yeah, no, you're right. That hippie.
I thought you were talking about the Mexican guy they bought it from.
No. That was not
Felipe Spector.
Felipe Spector.
He's like, hey man, this cocaine got más reverb, way. What?
That's funny.
No, man, I give you a wall of cocaine, man. Yeah. Chase, you don't get that one. We gotta do a music gap one for you to get that reference.
I mean, most of what I know about Phil Spector, I know from Al Pacino playing him in the
Oh
HBO
my god,
movie.
That's such a weird casting. Yeah, that's
It's
right.
a weird casting. It was good though. I
was it
enjoyed
good? I didn't watch it. Did you watch that, Dave?
I haven't like watched the whole bit. I've seen that. Yeah. He looks like Rod Stewart in like the picture of it. It doesn't even look like Phil Spector. It looks like Al Pacino's Rod Stewart in a Phil Spector
as Phil Spector.
biopic.
So,
awesome.
Talking about the music and everything, the music actually was the cost of the rights for the music was $1 million. So it was 4 times the budget almost.
Oh, wait. Was Born to Be Wild already a hit before this came out, or did this movie kind of make that help make that song a hit?
I mean, I bet it didn't hurt, but
okay,
that song was written well
Dave,
before '69.
That's Steppenwolf, right?
Yes,
Steppenwolf. Yeah.
Oh, but see, I thought that the Magic Carpet Ride song was going to be in this movie,
no,
and it wasn't.
No.
They played that one fucking Crosby, Stills, and Nash or whoever that was.
Well, and
that weird ass.
Yeah, 20 fucking times.
Crosby, Stills, and Nash was originally supposed to do the entire soundtrack.
Oh.
They were going to score it. They were going to do everything. And partially because the characters of Wyatt and Billy were based on Crosby and one of the other guys. I forget. I have read down.
Neil Young.
Find it. No, not Neil Young, but they so they were going to do the soundtrack, but Dennis Hopper, coked out on drugs of all sorts, everything, got fucking pissed off and like called him up in the middle of the night and started screaming at him and saying that bands that drove around in limos like they did and everything couldn't comprehend the film. And he locked him out of the studio, and he yelled at him, he goes, if you guys try to get into the studio again, I may have to cause you some bodily harm.
Wow.
And so like they were like, yeah, we don't need to do this.
Peace and love, man. Jesus
Yet he's a filmmaker pretending to be a biker.
Yeah.
Aren't you doing the same thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But they did write the song "Find the Cost of Freedom" for the movie. And they didn't end up using it in the movie.
Oh,
but that is one
still
that
put it out. Or
yeah, it's a B-side. It's a B-side to Ohio.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Apparently, they use it in their concert. Close out their concerts with it a lot.
Oh, really?
They did. Yeah.
I've never really gotten into Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but I love Neil Young. So, but I haven't even listened to the shit that Neil Young did with them. So I don't really know anything about that, but that is interesting. I don't even know how that song goes.
The use of those songs it really kind of creates like being a person that shared many hours driving with Bryce. You know, it really creates that mood. Just those kind of deadpan out the window shots and listening to a full song.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's definitely a
big time.
It's definitely like the epic road trip movie. Like what a road trip really is. Yeah.
And speaking of that, Dave, you just mentioned we've spent a lot of time on the road together. fucking like, weren't those shots of just like the land while they were driving? Wasn't that just fucking?
Or when they were like standing, staring out, it like reminds me of places that we pulled over, stopped, and just been like, damn.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to see this again, but this was cool. Like, let's keep going, you know?
Especially with like how awesome the skies were and everything.
Yeah.
That shit I really loved.
Well, and one of the things about it was the guy, their editor, was using all this music while he was editing all the like the road trip stuff and all the motorcycle footage or whatever. He was listening to this music and kind of editing it to that. So by the time they were going to get the other music, everybody was attached to this, and it looked so good with these songs that they were like, let's just get the rights to these songs. And, you know,
and you can tell, man. I mean, you can tell that he was matching feelings. Like feeling between the mediums and stuff.
And at the time that this movie came out, those filmmakers and everything were shitting all over this movie for those shots because there's like a lot of lens flare.
There is
like a lot of effect.
So I thought J.J. Abrams was directing it.
Like cinematographers are like, don't ever do that.
Yeah, sure.
They're like, but it looks cool.
But it looked great. It
has the right feel. So it's one of those, when you know the rules, you can break them.
Right.
If you do it right.
Right.
It reminded me a lot of like B movies and stuff that are just, like original, like, I don't know how to edit from this scene to this scene. We'll try this. And it's one that it just worked. Like you could tell a lot of the techniques were just like on the fly. Yeah. And it worked for the good way rather than there's some that, don't
especially
work.
that chop edit that they used a bunch of times.
Yeah. Well, in the original cut, there was a ton of that stuff. Yeah. Like Hopper was getting real into flashbacks, flash forwards, and like parallel stuff, which also, if you ever watch The Trip, the movie I was talking about, they do a lot of stuff like that. Specifically the acid scene in this one, the Trip has a lot of that kind of editing. And but it just made no sense, and it was 4 hours long. So there's still a couple of things done. I know that at one point, Fonda is dreaming, and he sees the crash that happens at the end.
Yeah,
and then
he's like having a daydream.
Yeah, and it does that chop thing.
Yeah, that was neat.
But yeah, you're right with the it feels like those B movies or the Grindhouse movies. I like to watch those every so often.
The snuff films,
not stuff films. There's a difference, a big difference. But it's funny when you watch those.
Styles.
Like a lot of them are unwatchable, but sometimes you'll watch them and there's so much interesting stuff going on with the way they frame things or shoot things that makes no sense in the movie because they didn't know what they were doing or why it looks cool. They were just like, turn the camera on, turn the camera off. But like if you see it, you're like, wow, that looks interesting. If I used it to mean something in a real movie that I knew how I was making it. So there's a lot of cool
that one
like that.
chop
but this
edit.
movie, it looks like they meant to do it, even if they didn't.
Definitely. But you could kind of tell that like the first time they do that chop edit where it like flashes to the next scene, then back, then next, and back, and then finally to the next scene. The first time they did it, I was like, whoa, that's fucking like really neat. And then they did it again. And then they did it again. And then by the fourth time, I was like, okay, someone found a new toy. And they're having a blast. But then they used it for when they were getting beat up.
Yeah.
And then that was like, because it was like, what the fuck is going on?
In certain scenes, it was perfect. In other scenes, it was like, what? Out of the blue.
Yeah.
It's a very weird thing. It reminds me.
Ultimately, I appreciate it.
Yeah. When I first started like fucking around with making movies and stuff, I was doing it with a friend of mine, Jordan, and we edited our first video together, like our first little short film, and we didn't realize that you could just cut to another scene. So we were working. I think it was Final Cut at the time, and we were like halfway through the thing. It's like a 15-minute like movie or whatever, and halfway through, it, I was like, why are we dissolving and pushing to everything? I was like, why does this look so fake? It was like scene's over, dissolve. Scene's over, swipe. Like, or don't do that, just cut to it. But like this one, I do love that choppy cut like they do.
Well, plus back then those edits weren't software or digital, right?
You're literally cutting film.
Physically do the shit.
There's one there's one scene where they're in the woods and it's just like a series of shots, and it reminded me of like what you would do when you first pick up a video camera.
Yeah.
It was like zoom in on a leaf. There's a rock. Look at the trees. Like, you know, it was like exactly what you do. Like zoom in, look around you.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But it worked. It was one of those shots where, like, if it was in a terrible movie, it'd be a shot that would be just hilarious and out of place. But having those in like such a great movie, it, like, you know, added a little bit of, like, I don't know, fun at least in the editing and stuff. You know, lightheartedness. Definitely.
And it being like an older movie, it coming from 1969. I don't know, like 69, dude. What were popular movies back then? Was it it's like things like Planet of the Apes and shit, right?
Well, let me see what came out. What other came out in 69? I know that this was like one of the top 4 movies of 69.
Of 69?
Yeah. But let's see.
You can tell, like what you were saying earlier, that was a time where, you know, like money was more like freely pushed around in the music industry as well as the cinema industry. Okay, you got an idea. I don't know who you are, but we'll take a chance.
Yeah.
We'll help you out. But, you know, sometimes for wins, sometimes for losses. But rather than we know what the product needs to be, there's a little bit more, hey, we'll back you. Hopefully your vision works.
Exactly. Yeah, and especially when like no one really. Well, I guess Peter Fonda was a star by this point, wasn't he?
Yeah. Okay. I have
the top. Dennis Hopper?
I have the top 10. No, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Jack Nicholson.
He'd been around though. I mean, by the time he died, he had over 200 credits.
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper. He was acting all the time, and it was constant.
Right.
You know.
Right.
In fact, my when I went to Texas State, the head of the theater department, or he was on his way out of being the head of the theater department or whatever, he taught a film class, like intro to film, and this was a movie he talked about, and he met Dennis Hopper. He had met him, and he was like talking to him about movies and everything like that. He goes, "Oh, in this movie that you were in," and Dennis Hopper stopped and he goes, "I'm sorry, I got to stop. You're gonna have to remind me what that one's about because there's a lot of blanks here." He's like, "I don't remember," because he did a lot of drugs.
Right. So ever since Easy Rider, man,
All right. So to answer your questions, Easy Rider, I was right. It is the 4th highest grossing film of 69.
Gotcha.
The number 1 was Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The number 2 was The Love Bug.
Okay, yeah.
Herbie, you know.
Butch Cassidy we need to do.
Midnight Cowboy was number 3, and that's another one of those ones that with Easy Rider, it's another one of those ones that pushes the
boundaries,
the director format. Hello Dolly was 5. I've never heard of Bob and Carol and Ted and Alice.
That's the name of the movie?
Yeah.
Tight. We need to do that movie.
Yeah.
It's about 4 people.
It says...
it's the prequel. It's got
Natalie Wood, Elliot Gould.
Oh, wow.
1969 comedy. And then...
It's the prequel to What About Bob, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because by the end of it, you find out what happens to Mary, Alice.
We have
What About Bob?
And then Paint Your Wagon and True Grit, Cactus Flower, Goodbye Columbus. So a lot of not country, westerns, and then musical in there.
So I mean, I feel like this movie was like one of those ones that had to happen. I think it was part of the pantheon of movies that started popping up around that time that really sort of changed.
Yeah, well, and all of those movies are real, like, other than Midnight Cowboy, I mean, they're like clean movie star movies. Right. This is the whole thing about this movie and the reason that it speaks to people and is the use of the music and the counterculture, and these guys are hippies and like they're not bad guys. They don't ever do anything bad. That I could really think of, other than drugs. But like, go ahead.
Was going to ask, do you know when this was, like when they started writing and stuff? Was it a very quick movie from writing? Because like you said, it's so indicative of that year.
Yeah, I know that it was filmed in 78. So like they
68.
68. It was filmed 10 years in the future.
That's how they did it, man.
It's the cut. It's the cutting. It's all. The whole movie is a flashback.
Yeah.
No, it was filmed in 68 and I think some late 67. But it was mainly 68. I mean, they got it right out because Peter Fonda was hot. It was.
What was Fonda in before this one though?
Before this, let's see. He also died a year ago.
This is so this actually coincides. Yeah, we kind of did that on accident.
Yeah. Also, what happened on accident was the So Peter Fonda died last year on August 16th, and the UK channel Movies for Men was screening this movie with an introduction from Quentin Tarantino and Kim Morgan the day. He died that day, and then the next day it was announced that he died. So on the 16th, the day he died, they screened this big film, movie,
shit.
and then he was dead right after it. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, damn.
But let's see here. Before this movie, let's see.
Because I mean, I will.
I have not.
I realize this is the first Peter Fonda movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's.
I didn't even really know what he looked like before I watched this movie. It's kind of like how it was with Charles Bronson when we did Scott's podcast, which check that out, Scott White.
Yeah, that just came out.
The birth.
It's on the
Birth Reynolds.
It's called the Burt Reynolds and Charles Bronson podcast. So check that out. The Birth Reynolds. Is that what you said?
Yeah, on accident.
I've not seen a lot of Peter Fonda's movies. I'm looking through here. I don't really know any of these. He did a lot of TV series, it looks like, before this. So this might have been his first big movie.
Is he the guy that was in that movie with I keep getting him confused with who was the dude that was in that movie
Cannonball Run. That's a big one.
No, not Cannonball Run. Who's the dude that was in that movie with Katharine Hepburn about going to Africa or the river? No, not Bridge over River.
Jewel of the Nile?
No. It's Katharine Hepburn and some other guy. Is it Peter Fonda or something with Fonda?
I know it's no, that's hold on, I'm still looking at all these things that he's done. I don't no, that's
maybe it is Jewel of the Nile.
Yeah, it is. It's or the African Queen. No, it was the
African Queen. Yeah.
That isn't that Bogart?
Well, I don't know. There's some. Okay, who's the guy? Peter Fonda. Dave said, "I haven't got time for this shit."
Yeah.
Who's the guy? I don't know. Forget it.
It's not this movie. Humphrey Bogart was the African Queen. I know that.
All right.
But no, I'm not
I guess
familiar.
I don't know anything.
This
Peter
is
Fonda
all I really know Peter Fonda from. I mean, I know the name and I know that he was.
So he was big time counterculture then.
Yeah, but he also was this really cool guy. He was in a bunch of cool movies that I just haven't seen because they haven't held up as timeless as this.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm surprised he's such a counterculture figure because his name doesn't kind of ring that kind of a bell to me just because I had no idea who he really was other than the name Peter Fonda. I'd assume that he was only doing this movie just as a gig. I didn't realize that it was kind of something he was
this was his,
a part of or that he loved doing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's cool. That's really cool. I was a little let down that I didn't see Jack Nicholson riding his own motorcycle. I thought Jack Nicholson was, before I watched this movie, I thought he was a bad guy on a bike and was going to fight them or something.
He's a little lawyer.
Yeah, instead he's just this drunk guy that wants to just have a good time. Yeah, and has that little tick. He did that.
He ad-libbed that.
That was so weird. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was his addition to the script.
That was great.
I didn't know he was in the movie before watching it. Jack Nicholson was never a part of what I thought I knew about the movie.
Oh, wow.
So that goes into when I watched it, it was oh man, I didn't know much at all about this movie.
Well, then, famously that scene where they're getting stoned and he tries the joint for the first time.
You mean marijuana?
Yeah, dude, that's a good Jack.
he
Pretty mean Jack there, Dave.
so they were smoking real marijuana, and according to Jack Nicholson, they did 155 real joints while
Doing that scene.
And like the whole point was that Dennis Hopper wanted to get Jack Nicholson just beyond fucked up, just to see what would happen, and because he had that whole monologue where he had to like lay and look at the stars and everything, and talk, and they couldn't fuck him up. He said it right every single time.
Wow.
The only thing that he did was there was a couple of times where he laughed too hard, and it would, you know, and those were unscripted. The laughs would come at different spots, but he never messed up his lines. And Dennis Hopper was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, he did a really good job of switching from acting drunk to acting stoned, but I guess he wasn't acting.
He wasn't acting stoned.
So
he's a method actor.
Yeah. So that explains that.
Yeah. But he's so funny in this movie. Like, he's just such a good.
He's great, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I was pleasantly surprised that he was this nice, happy-go-lucky dude. It was kind of refreshing seeing Jack Nicholson not play some like fucked up bad guy, weird guy, but I thought there would be some shots of him looking cool as fuck on a fucking chopper, and instead he's wearing a fucking, you know, radio helmet, and you know what I mean?
The football jersey.
Yeah, like just kind of goofy and shit. But I mean, I liked his character a lot. That fucking scene, man, those scenes, let's go ahead and get into those like heavier scenes.
Okay.
The big climactic one where they, you know, die at the hands of redneck hillbillies. Man, dude, that was so were those like actual local townspeople that they hired?
Okay. So here's the deal. There were first off the ones in the diner, in those diner scenes that were making fun of him and everything. They were supposed to cast like some people in LA to play him or whatever. And while they were out there, Hopper was like, "Fuck that! These guys." Like, you heard him making fun of him when they came up.
Really?
And he's like, "This is it.
Yeah,
we're gonna use them." And then they liked it so much that the end of the movie was they were gonna go off, buy a boat, and they were gonna win. Like, they were gonna go sail off and live in Mexico somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And while filming this and getting the reactions that they got going into these towns, with the hippie and the long hair and all that kind of stuff, they were like, "Let's fucking have them get killed."
Yeah.
And the two guys in the pickup truck were just two guys that had a pickup truck that were not actors.
I was gonna say that one guy, especially in the diner, the one guy that they showed the most with the fucked up, weird looking eyeball and the messed up teeth and shit.
Yeah.
When I was watching it, I was like, give this guy the Oscar if this is a dude from LA. You know what I mean? Like, no fucking way. This guy is from LA. This is a fucking down home Alabama fucking hick right here.
100% real.
And so that makes a lot more sense. But dude, good on Hopper for recognizing that, because that shit felt like watching it was like, oh yeah, like that's what it is. Like, if someone from another country would be like, man, do they really got hicks like that? I would just point them to that fucking scene and be like, that's what the fuck is kind of like in some places. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
probably a lot easier on the budget as well.
Have to fly some actor out.
We'll pay you an exposure, man.
No makeup required. No.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. They didn't want any of the weed either, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't have to share.
Well, I'll use my own truck. Okay.
Yeah, so like to get them all hyped up and everything when they were shooting the taunting scene, Hopper. Peter Fonda apparently didn't know about this, but like Hopper was directing the people in the diner or whatever. He's like, so here's what you need to know. Our characters, you know, him and George and Captain America, he's like, our characters just like raped and killed a girl outside of town. So like, y'all don't know that, but like, that's how bad our guys are. So, you know, use that in the scene. So that's why.
Oh,
wow. So like all that like built-in hate, like that's what he wanted them to have, even though these people aren't that.
Right.
So all those people just assuming, and not even assuming, knowing that these people are trash is what he wanted to get.
They did a great job of acting too. Like fucking A.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just being themselves, but like they didn't seem shy on camera or anything, or like the moment was too big for them. Or nothing.
And this is
they seem pretty at home.
You take that for granted now. Like everybody is pretty used to being on camera. I notice it a lot watching. I watch a lot of game shows because I've pretty much run out of things to watch. But
Right.
you watch a lot of game shows from like today, and then you go back to like the old like 1970s match game, and the regular contestants like on today's game shows are like ready, and like they're very they're used to being in camera.
Yeah.
They're comfortable, and then you go back to like the 1970s match game, and they're like all like really tight and really shy, and they're just like super nervous.
Yeah.
You don't get that as much anymore.
Right.
So the fact that these people were like normal,
they did
like
great.
it didn't feel like actors, and they weren't. But it's
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I mean, that's cool that they needed, because like that, I don't know. I guess hippies and shit got made fun of back then because it was such a new, not like new in this grand scheme of things, but new for our society or whatever at the time.
Well, there was a norm, and you went to it. You stuck by it. There's
especially in small
as
towns.
much as there is a norm now. There's no one that everyone must stick to.
Not like now a kid in Alabama can go online and see different shit. Back then it was, especially in a small town, it was like, no, this is what it is, and there's nothing different.
Yeah.
And if you see something different, they're weird and you laugh at them. But like it's nice to hear that they needed like extra motivation of imagining that they really were bad people, other than just because like, I mean, they would make fun of them in real life probably, but they probably wouldn't actually try to beat them up. But of course in some towns they probably would. I don't know.
In fact,
it was just
Peter Fonda before, like for 2 or 3 weeks before the filming started, so he made that jacket, and he had all his leathers and everything, and to get the leathers to look worn in, he would just drive around for hours a day for like 2 or 3 weeks just around LA, and he constantly was getting pulled over by police,
right?
Because he had the American flag bike and like just this like just the American flag on that tank and the American flag on his back, and he's on a momotorcycle. It was like so insulting to like
really
America.
They thought it was degrading to the American flag.
Yeah, because trash people, outlaws ride motorcycles, and
now you put American flag prints on your paper plates during 4th of July and throw them in the trash. There's nothing degrading about that at all, huh?
Now but that the jacket that he wore sold for auction in 2007. You want to take a guess for how much that jacket went for?
What?
20 million.
No, not quite. $89,000. $89,000.
89,000 million.
89,000.
More than 2, dude. You were way off, Dave.
But and there's none of the motorcycles survived. They blew one up. And then
what, they blew up the real one?
Yeah, and one of the guys, Dan.
Didn't you see the end? Did we just spoil it?
I'm just saying, like, use a different one.
Well, they had 4, and that one got trashed. And then the guy who was in charge of the bikes, he actually took that one and rebuilt it, and it's still around. The other 3 were stolen from set, and like they've never been recovered, and it
was Dennis Hopper.
It's 100% like because they had a rap party, and at the rap parties when they realized all of the bikes had been stolen, and they also realized they didn't have the last that last campfire scene filmed. So when you watch the campfire scene, that's why there's no bikes in the background, because they had already been stolen.
Oh, and that's what Peter Fonda meant by we blew it. We sold the bikes too soon.
No, they didn't sell them. They got stolen.
Oh, they got stolen.
Yeah, they got stolen, and people are like, well, maybe they'll resurface or whatever. They're like, no, those things got like chopped and screwed like real fast. They didn't make it. Yeah, they got.
What that means.
The hillbillies. They paid in beer.
Oh yeah, Dave can't hear the beat. Oh yeah, Dave, I got a soundboard on my shit, but it's not hooked up into your sound, so you couldn't hear what I was just playing there. I keep forgetting that.
Who found out at the rap party that we still have a scene to shoot? Like, that's got to be an odd.
Yeah, Hopper and Fonda were like, "Oh fuck, we didn't do it. We didn't shoot.
We already destroyed everything.
It's probably one of those things like, this is why we should really have a director who's not blown out of his mind.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was going through a tough time back then.
Was he?
That's what he said.
Oh, that's what he said.
Yeah.
But yeah, that so the two like big, you know, I don't know, I guess like downer scenes, but like the climactic scene or the climax scene and the end where they get jumped by those Hicks, just out of nowhere, man. It's they just had such a peaceful night, and then they get held down, muzzled, and just beaten with baseball bats, and then George doesn't make it. His name was George.
Yeah.
Not Greg. Or was it Greg? Whatever.
No, it was George.
George doesn't make it. And then like you're just like, fuck, man. Like that shit. And this is why I think it was a good idea that they decided to have them die in the end, is because those two moments in particular like brought all of the other stuff, like the free flowing, like I'm just living and experiencing, having like real shit happen, like negative shit, like, oh shit, this is the other side of living free and dying hard and shit. If you live free, you die hard.
There you go.
All right. And like having that really reins everything in and makes the whole movie that much, like makes it a really, really good movie rather than just like an experimental film. I felt like it like took it to another level, because I was enjoying myself being like, oh yeah, you know, I can watch this and feel like I'm living free on the road with these guys, and this was American life at one point or whatever, and anyone can do this. It's great. But then having something like that happen, you're just like, oh man, there's consequences too. Fuck, you know, now you're getting a full spectrum.
Yeah, those consequences are the only thing that keeps me from buying a lowrider and going out.
Lowrider
bike.
And moving to East LA.
Yeah, just going across country. It's not just the idea of me like going somewhere to buy leathers. I can't even imagine. I'll be like, I can't get that far. I was like, I need to go buy some leathers.
Yeah.
Trying to find a helmet that fits my head.
Sitting around one day being like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go buy a bunch of leather shit real quick and ride bikes now. I'm a biker now.
I need to get a motorcycle that has some Bluetooth so I can listen to my podcasts as I drive.
I could see you hopping on one and then like turning it on and just being like, do you have anything that's not as loud? You got anything quieter? I can't. Is it always this loud?
I'm having a hard time hearing Jimmy Pardo.
Yeah. No, Scott White. That's the only podcast Chase and I listen to. Scott White's podcast.
He's got two.
He's got two of them. So yeah, anyway, that's like kind of my, and then, you know, the acid scene is one of the more accurate. You could tell they've actually done the drugs before.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like,
how do you have that much money for that much weed, but you don't have money for acid? You got money for that much weed.
Yeah. You got money for acid.
Especially in the 60s. Like, I mean,
I got a feeling Hopper did his own probably.
They were all just beyond, well, at least Hopper, they were just beyond messed up that whole time. But the acid scene, you know, they actually filmed in that Catholic cemetery. They did not have permission, and ever since then they're like, you can't do that. Because like I know that interview with a vampire like was supposed to take place, like it was written in the book and everything to take place in that cemetery, and they're like, we're never letting that happen again.
Wait, so when you're reading the book, you're like reading it, and they're like, and then they arrived at the cemetery. You know, the one that was in Easy Rider during the. Like, how do you know it was supposed to be that because cemetery?
It's the one that they filmed it at. It's in New Orleans. It's it's like a famous cemetery.
Oh, I see.
But the Hopper. So Peter Fonda, his mom committed suicide when he was 10 years old, and Hopper made him like have that conversation with the statue of Mary, as though he was having a conversation with his real dead mother about like committing suicide.
That was Fonda doing that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Peter Fonda's mother. Did I say that wrong?
Oh, I thought you said Hopper's mom.
Hopper's the one who made Fonda do that.
Oh,
because Fonda
fuck.
didn't want to, and but that scene is what Fonda used after to get Bob Dylan to allow them to use the cover of "It's All Right, Ma." He's like, I need to hear those words.
Oh, fuck.
That song is about suicide, mother's suicide.
Wait, there was a Bob Dylan song in this movie? Oh, it was a cover of a Bob Dylan song.
Yeah, it's I forget who did the cover of
it must have been that one at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The one where I was like, oh, wow, this guy's ripping the fuck off of Bob Dylan. I didn't realize it was a straight up
Bob
cover.
Dylan song.
Oh, that's funny.
Now, this is one of those. This is a movie that is one of the reasons the term bogarting now doesn't mean what it was originally meant to mean. Because, in the song.
Yeah, don't bogart my joint.
Yeah.
Brother,
so what does bogarting mean?
You're hogging it.
Okay, that's what it
Right?
now means, but that's not what it meant. It meant that you smoked it like it means that you got it all the end all wet. Because Humphrey Bogart, it comes from the way Humphrey Bogart used to smoke his cigarettes.
Would slob on his cigs.
Like, I mean, if you watch a Humphrey Bogart movie, the cigarette's like halfway in his mouth. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, he really just gets them all slobbery.
Gross.
So that's why it's called bogarting, because Humphrey Bogart would get the ends of his cigarettes all nasty. So that's why in the song it's like, don't bogart that joint.
Oh,
because you're gonna pass it to me. I don't want your slobber.
Oh.
But it comes off if you don't know Humphrey Bogart. Then you're just thinking,
as like, hey man, you're hogging it.
Yeah, and then in the scene they talk about don't hog it, so like it's all
jumbled now.
Yeah. And like now that's what it means. It means don't hog it.
Yeah.
But that's not what it meant at the time when they were writing that song. But I've always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, the lexicon, how it's always constantly changing based on different interpretations from different perspectives, and we are all one. Yeah,
Are you on that?
I liked the use of "If 6 Was 9," the Jimi Hendrix song, using more of like a not a B-side Jimi Hendrix, but I mean you rarely will hear that in a lesser known Jimi Hendrix song. It's perfect.
Yeah, it was refreshing to hear Jimmy in there too, because I realized it had been a while since I've listened to Jimmy, so I was like, oh man, I need to go back and listen. And
especially a song like that, if it was something like Voodoo Child or All Along the Watchtower, it wouldn't give you those same real,
Right.
I mean, again, it goes to that whole road trip. Choice. Yeah, it's like that whole road trip aesthetic to it too. Is that you don't listen to just the hits.
You get into the deep cuts. Yeah, that's like the perfect time to discover the deep cuts too.
Yeah,
because
you got nothing else to do, just time to kill.
Yeah,
but so is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we?
I think I got everything under the sun on that one. What about you, Dave? You got any specific takeaways you want?
No, not anything really more. Man, it was great to hear you all talk about it.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, let's get to the ratings.
The rating. Yes,
the ratings. All right. Bryce, why don't you go first?
Okay. Out of 10, exploding. Oh wait, there is one thing I wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Dave, did you laugh? Or what did you think about the end of that movie, dude?
Oh, the end of it.
Yeah, when Peter Fonda's when Peter Fonda gets shot specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that surprised me. I thought it was going to be like the trope of I lost my buddy during this thing, and then he has to go on with that for the rest of his life. I thought that what it was going to be. That's how it was going to end. So seeing that really shocked me, and kind of like, oh, so it's not going to end, as cinematically stereotypical as you would expect.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, no, definitely. It shocked me too, and I really liked the way they did that, and I liked the surprise, and I liked the fact that it ended up being that cut to from earlier where Fonda had daydreamed it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like seeing that motorcycle just suddenly fly and explode, I laughed really hard. And then, well, I didn't laugh until the credits started rolling because I was like, "What?" That was it. But anyway, I loved it. I just felt like it was like it was one of those like movies that had an idea that was grander than the means they had to produce it. You know what I mean? At certain points, and maybe that shot was like the idea and everything was all there, and I totally get it. But now knowing what you know, I don't know. It's just kind of a what's the word? Like a heavy-handed edit or something.
Yeah.
It just kind of made me laugh, you know.
Because they just successfully did what would have been kind of that shot where they shot him, it hit his body, he crashed the bike, he was bleeding. So then the next time when they shoot Peter Fonda, just the body's nowhere and the bike just blows up. It's kind of like, wait a minute,
on fire. Yeah. I feel like it was just one of those things where like someone had to do it first so that we could see like, oh, that was cool, but maybe if we do it a little bit, you know, something like this, it would be sleeker.
Stunt guy like got seriously injured doing that first one, so they're like, we can't do that again.
Yeah. They only paid him. They only had enough money left over after all the drugs to pay him for one.
Right? Yeah.
They're like, the audience will get it.
Yeah,
we'll fix it in post. This is 1969. We don't really have
no post. Yeah.
I thought the funniest part of the whole movie, I thought you were going to mention that. I think it was like the very first line Dennis Hopper had that like, I'm going down to Mardi Gras, gonna get me a Mardi Gras girl. Like, he was just like singing a song. Like right when it started, I started cracking.
And there's so much. And there's so much that he says. He is just unhinged. His whole character.
Yeah.
I can't like think of anything.
Yeah, he does good at being like that character.
Yeah,
just fucking whacked out.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into my recast on that one. But
I know.
Yeah. So
I think I know.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, well, let's get into the
rating.
The rating,
which I guess I'll do a drop for that. Out of 10, out of 10 hippies singing "The Wheels on the Bus," which, oh my god,
so creepy.
Get me the fuck out of there! If I ever end up in a place like that and that starts happening, I'm running for my life. But anyway, out of 10 hippies singing "The Wheels on the Bus," I give this movie 8 hippies singing "Wheels on the Bus."
8
I liked
hippies
singing
"Wheels on the Bus." All right.
Yeah.
Dave, what about you?
I would probably have to say a little bit lower, and it kind of would depend on the context. I think it's a movie that, like, at the perfect time, perfect day, it could be an 8 or a 9.
Yeah.
But in general, I would say maybe like a 7.
All right.
Yeah, I was going to say 7 too, but yeah. But 8, I'll just give it an 8.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. This movie has a lot of.
It's definitely a feel thing. You got to kind of be in the mood for it.
And it's what the movie stands for and what the movie caused.
Yeah.
Like its impact on culture and filmmaking in general that give it a higher standing. I mean, it's in the AFI Top 100.
Right.
You know, but I don't know when they're gonna redo that. The last time they redid that was 2007. Because it came out in 97, then they did it in 2007, and they haven't done it since. So this would be one that would be. This would be one. This would be an interesting one to see if it's stuck in the top 100. But I mean, I love this movie. So it's we were talking about it earlier. This is one of 4 baseball movies that we've done. We did League of Their Own. We did Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Casino.
Yeah.
And Easy Rider.
Again, like your wife said, not really a baseball movie.
Baseball bats. That's sports.
Yeah.
I know sports.
But things are getting hit.
There's
with
a baseball bat
bats.
and something gets hit.
Yeah, exactly. No,
it's a. I was gonna say it's a short person's face, but like, is he short? I don't know that.
Who? Jack Nicholson?
Jack Nicholson's like all that short.
I think he's taller than Joe Pesci.
But yeah. There's aunts that are taller than Joe Pesci.
Yeah, and uncles.
I don't know why ants are the short thing I can think of. It's like, no. Joe Pesci, I'm pretty sure any of my little Funkos are taller than Joe Pesci.
Yeah, that's true. Paul Wall is similar to an ant because he's low to the earth. So, but you don't get that reference, JC. But that's for the H-Town boys out there, you know. Anyway,
I didn't get that reference either.
You don't know that? You know that from Sitting Sideways when Paul Wall comes in?
I know that.
What's What's really
it's
sad?
just that line. I don't know. That's one of those things where it's a line that.
What's really sad is you said Paul
sticks out to
Wall,
me.
and I thought Paul Walker, and I was like, "What?"
Paul.
Like,
I just didn't
You know,
finish his name.
Yeah.
What's funny is me and Clint actually ran into Paul Wall on said road trip across Texas. So to bring it all back to the movie,
That's right. You
Yeah.
did. At
we saw
Hrushka's.
Paul Wall stopping at a gas
At
station off
Hrushka's.
71 on
Yeah.
a long road trip.
From Houston to Texas, or from Houston to Texas, from Houston to Austin, the fucking Hrushka's. Yeah. How about fucking Buc-ee's is putting signs up that are like, you can hold it. Buc-ee's is only 10 miles further than Hrushka's.
It's worth it.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, but those bathrooms are so
Yeah, but
goddamn
Hrushka's
clean.
is like it's the giant fucking corporation picking on the little guys. With
I mean,
that
Buc-ee's
shit
is not a giant corporation.
Well, they
I think
are compared
it's a
to
little,
Hrushka's.
it's a little beaver.
It's a little
very
beaver.
local.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, sure. I love Buc-ee's.
You ever
but
had their
Hrushka's
kolaches?
forever.
Oh.
Hrushka's forever. And Texans know what we're talking about here. But anyway, so yeah, we'll have to. Well, now time for our other segment. Now that we've given ratings, Dave, I'll explain this to you real quick. Now that we've given the ratings, in a general sense, we determine, we give our opinions on if this movie is worth it. And you can't hear this sound, but I'm going to do a sound. Is it worth it, or is it the worst shit?
What are the sounds? Recreate them for me.
It's worth it, cha-ching, or worse shit, and then it's just a bunch of
fart
fart
noise.
noises. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll go first. I'll say worth it. I give it
Yeah.
a worth it. If someone were to be like, man, I haven't seen Easy Rider, should I watch this? I'd be like, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth it. That's what I say.
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth it. I mean, like I said, at the right moment, the right day, the right time, I think it could be an 8 or a 9. But
Right.
I think it's definitely something everybody should watch.
Yeah, I know the first time I watched it, I was like maybe 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched it. It was one of the ones like my dad, when we first got satellite, and there was all these movie channels like the Encore. I think they're all Encore now or whatever. But it was like Western,
Oh,
action,
right. Yeah.
all things from like the 70s and before.
Right.
And like this was one of them, a bunch of Kubrick, and then Guns from Navarone and a bunch of old westerns and everything. And I remember watching this one and like really getting into it, and then at the end being like, "What?" Like as a 10-year-old, you're like, "What?" I don't watch movies where they die.
Yeah,
What is this about?
What's going on? Yeah, yeah.
It was like, so everything was happy, all happy movies, and it was like Charlotte's Web and Easy Rider. Fuck those movies. Fuck that.
So you say worse shit.
No, I say worth it.
Oh, okay.
And just to be the same, like one of the second or third times I ever saw it was in college, and like when you're in college and you're freshman year, your classes suck. You're a lot of core classes, and I got to go to class one day and watch this. So it's like, this movie's awesome. It's a lot better.
Oh no, and Ash told me. Oh, actually, that's a little interesting.
She was in
side
the class
story.
with me. Yeah.
It was Friday night, and I was like, well, I gotta watch. Like we were about to go to bed, and I was like, well, I gotta watch Easy Rider. Do you want me to put that on? And much to my surprise, she was like, oh hell yeah, Easy Rider. I'll watch that. I love Peter Fonda. I watched it with Chase, and I was like, what? You'll actually watch this? All right, fuck yeah. So
yeah, that's right. She was in that class with me.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, but no, this is definitely worth it for me too. I think it's quintessential viewing. Like, that's especially for anybody that, enjoys cinema.
Yeah.
As they say.
Cinema. So we got a 3 worth it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to get the numbers real quick? I told you the budget was $360,000, and you already know that it was the number 4 domestically for the year. And this is only a domestic. Domestic is the same as worldwide for this one because it was a smaller release. So opening weekend, what do you think it was?
Opening weekend, well,
it was
this is back
July
then.
14th, 2019. So what? That's wrong.
July, that's the remake.
Yeah, the remake. Although they did, there is a sequel called Easy Rider, The Way Back or The Journey Home or something.
Yeah.
And it is trash, Pure trash. It was made in like 2012 or 2014. Some guy had bought the rights to it, and it's unwatchable.
Sounds like I want to watch it.
It's unwatchable.
It's not
nonsense.
even funny.
Yeah, and it's totally the opposite. Like thought process. I mean, it is guys on motorcycles or whatever, but it's like America. It's fucking terrible. Yeah.
Oh, so the Hicks are the heroes.
Yeah, the Hicks are the heroes. Yeah.
They go beating up hippies and shit.
Yeah. But July 14th, 69.
Gotcha. But this is before the advent of the summer
Calendar.
blockbuster. As we know from when we did Jaws, everyone learned that Jaws was the beginning of.
I mean,
credited as the beginning.
Movies
of the
still
summer
existed and
blockbuster.
still made money, but yeah.
That all being said, I'm gonna say it probably didn't. Did it have a wide release at first for the opening weekend?
Yeah.
This is 60s money. I'm gonna say it made $1 million opening weekend.
Did not.
Dave, you want to give it a stab?
I wouldn't even know where to guess.
Yeah.
I thought the jacket was going to sell for $20 million. Way off there.
74,000.
What?
Jeez,
Man, movies did not make money back then.
Yeah.
And you would think a movie that seems like that, like perfect for its time and the people that year, you'd think it would be accepted a lot more.
Yeah.
It's not like Grease doing like a 50s movie 10 years later or something like
You
that.
also got to remember that movies were like 50 cents.
Yeah.
So
were cheap as fuck.
The domestic gross. So keep in mind.
Yeah.
Number 4 and 74 million is a really great opening weekend at this time.
74,000.
74,000 was like, that's a big opening weekend. So the domestic gross total, and it was this number 4.
Yeah.
Was how much?
Okay. So we're 50 cents a ticket. Budget 360K. To be a hit. And with that kind of an opening, I'm gonna say it grossed 1.5 million. Grossed.
Okay, actually the movie ticket price, I just Googled it. In 1969, the average ticket price was $1.42.
Okay.
All right. So how much did you say? You said
fuck.
$1 million? No,
1.5 million.
No.
So less than 1 million people.
It was 123,000.
It didn't even make his money back?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Not
Oh, that's unreal. So it was a bomb.
I mean, it was the highest. This can't be right.
It was a number 4 bomb.
Yeah, right? And it was the number 4 most popular movie, and it didn't even make its money back?
That's what it says.
Wow.
Hard year for films.
Yeah, dude.
I think that that's got to be wrong. That's got to be wrong.
Where are you getting this number from? Shit on the website.
I'm getting on IMDb. I'm gonna
fuck IMDb. You suck. Your numbers are fucking bunk. IMDb.
It's always been right before. I'm gonna look at box office.
Get a suit.
Your numbers it's always been right before. That is surprising if that's the truth.
That's totally surprising. It must have made a lot of money back on licensing and shit, I guess.
Yeah, it says 123,000.
123,000? Wow. You said 174? Oh no. You said 74,000 opening weekend.
Yeah. So but that was the I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, you got 123,000 people going to see your movie, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a little bit less than that, but essentially, that's pretty successful. That's a lot of people. But
it costs more than that.
It's more than you can fit in a stadium. Well, they went over budget.
Not successful.
They went.
Okay.
According to didn't make money.
Okay, according to Wikipedia, its box office was 60 million. That makes a lot more sense.
That's some big fucking numbers for back then.
Well, you're saying 74,000 on the first weekend, and so from the first weekend on, it only made another 50,000 for 50,000. Every weekend after.
Yeah, that's what that says.
Yeah, so that makes more sense. And it continued to make money after 1 week.
But still, that's like not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, well.
Yeah, this
Or maybe it's
Wikipedia says 60 million. So, I mean, Easy Rider was released by Columbia Pictures on July 14th, 1969. So this is the right date, grossing 60 million worldwide.
Worldwide.
Yeah.
maybe that's like till now.
Yeah. I mean, that
So
is
up to
that is
now,
till
yeah.
now.
With re-releases.
But it
and
was the
shit.
fourth highest grossing movie of the year. I mean, was that just,
Well, I guess that's how the box office worked
Yeah.
back then.
but 360,000 was a low,
Well,
Budget.
what
budget.
What
Maybe
was,
that was supposed to be 123 million. That seems like a lot.
No,
100
that seems
million.
like a
100
lot.
million.
That would have
No, because Jaws was
that
the
would
first
have
one to
already
make over 100 million.
and that would have already broken.
Maybe it's supposed to
gone
be
with
like
the wind.
12.3.
Yeah, maybe that. I don't know.
12.3.
All right. Well, if you know,
What was Gone with the Wind's record before it was broken by Jaws or whatever?
adjust
Because-
Jaws beat it without adjusting for inflation.
Right. So, but I mean, like that'll give us more of a sense of how the box office was. You know,
I mean,
back
well,
then.
The Gone
Even
with
though
the
that
Wind
was still 30
20 years
years
earlier.
before that,
It was
yeah.
39. Let's see what they say on that one. Gone with the Wind had a budget of $3,977,000 or $3,977,000 and a cumulative worldwide gross of $12.
Seems about right.
No, this says 200,000. So,
Come on, Chaz.
but I think that's to date. It's
12,000?
200,000.
Is what it made?
200 million.
Oh,
God. I am having trouble.
Come on, Chaz.
It is late. I've been hanging out.
It's noon. It's
Yeah,
12:30.
I've been hanging out at the campfire too long.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You need to crash, man. You need
Yeah.
to crash.
Whoa.
Chaz.
He
Come on,
can't hear
Chaz.
that. He just
He
thinks
can't
we're
hear it,
stopping.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get on to the fucking reboot
Let's
recast
do
because
this.
we got to.
All right.
Let's do
This
this
is time
quickly.
for the
Oh yeah.
reboot. Just do it once. Just let it go.
I like doing the remix though.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound
It's
good.
like it sounds like I'm about to barf. Like,
Yeah, it just sounds like you're hitting the sound a bunch of times. It doesn't sound good.
but when I remix it with the beat,
It
you know,
still sounds pretty dumb. Yeah, that sounds dumb. Stop it. All right, Dave. So the way this works
fun.
is if they were to make this movie today, who would play these parts? And I guess for the sake of argument, let's say it's still like it's the same movie. It's not current day. It's still 1969. They're just remaking this movie. Like, it takes place, or the remake is happening now with actors from today, but the movie takes place still in '69. It's not like making this movie
Yeah.
about 2000.
it's like a straight up reboot, and then we're just like who would play it today? Who would play?
But you
the
can't choose like 1992 Brad Pitt,
Right.
something
Yeah.
like that. No, it's people today, like
Right.
their age currently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Like how would we cast it if we were the casting agent or whatever?
Yeah.
That kind of.
Okay.
It's a fun game. It's a fun game.
all right. So let's do stop it. Let's do the top three, the main three.
Yeah.
Wyatt, Billy, and George.
Okay.
George Hansen. You want to start with George?
Yeah, we'll start with George.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and start?
The one I haven't figured out.
I think that we got to go with the obvious, and he's sitting right here. Got to go with old Jason Alexander, a guy that has a lot of experience playing Georges. So that's my pick. That's my real fucking pick.
Current day Jason Alexander.
Current day Jason Alexander.
This is why this is so hard with him sometimes.
I guess it'll fit with the goofy helmet and jersey and stuff.
Yeah.
Wait
just
for me.
Yeah, the whole time. Nah, I don't know. Oh, that's a good one because I don't know. It's hard to remember. Like Jack Nicholson was what, like 27 or some shit at the time.
Yeah. So let's see here. So Peter Fonda was 29. So yeah, they were all like 30.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
So yeah. So for the George character, man, it's hard now because like you definitely don't want to cast anybody like a Marvel movie guy because they're all
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. I mean, I have a Wyatt. That's really as far as I mean. I have a Billy, and that's as far as I got because I'm having trouble with George and with Captain America. So,
and then like everyone today is so today that it's hard to picture
I know.
them
Well,
being
and
like, what are we gonna put? Who's gonna fucking play George? Zac Efron?
No.
What the fuck? That's all we got. We got Zac
So
Efron.
let's just
fucking
focus
Megan
on-
Fox.
Let's just focus on
Bullshit.
Let's just focus
What
on
about no
Wyatt.
phones?
Let's
Put your
just
phone
focus
down.
on.
I cheat.
Yeah, he always.
I use the IMDb.
Let's just focus on Billy and Wyatt. Okay, so I have a Billy, and maybe this will help move it along. So for my Billy, that's Dennis Hopper, Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, yeah.
You
I
know,
like that.
I mean, I could see him doing the counterculture thing, and you know, he could play the loose cannon aspect of it. And I mean, he really is.
I might
a
like
great
him
actor.
for George.
No, I like him better for Billy.
Good choice.
I think he's better for Billy. I think.
Yeah. All right. I'll go with that.
You know, I'm trying to get the meat and potatoes here. So, like, let's say George is out of the picture right now. We'll figure George out another day.
Okay.
Let's just stick with Billy and Wyatt, or Billy and Captain America. So,
Dude, I got a good Billy. If he could do it, you know, I think Russell Brand
Oh man,
could do a good
dude, that's
Billy.
a good poll. I forget
Just
about
being a
it.
little out there, you know. I
Yeah.
don't know how it'd work with the you know dialogue, but
He would
he's a
actually be
character
good
who
for
could
George.
pull off that look.
yeah, actually, it could be a fun George, except could he? Because he's supposed to
Tone
be a
it
little.
back.
Yeah, a lot would have to do with how much he could, pull it back.
Yeah.
You know, but
He's
I could
like
just
not.
see him behind a big fat mustache and being that guy, kind of, you know, pushing it a little bit.
Yeah. I like that
For
for
Billy?
Billy.
So I still got to
big
stick
time.
with font with
Yeah. Both good choices.
Yeah, that's outside the box because I was not thinking British. But
Well, you'd have to
there's
put
no
his
reason.
American accent on it.
I
suppose.
don't
guess-
think he
he
has
probably
one.
does. He
No,
doesn't.
I doubt it. I doubt it. But that could be an interesting call because he is he's a big character for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so then what about Captain America himself?
Well,
Because I can't think of anybody. Just like you said, they're either
I don't know, man. Hear me out on this one.
all right.
Chris Evans. No,
No,
you're-
too
no.
clean.
Oh my
Too
God.
clean
No,
cut,
but here's
yeah.
the thing. Here's the thing. I
Too
know.
obvious.
First of all, I know you said you can't do Marvel people. First of all, second of all, I picked a Marvel guy who
Yeah,
also
I know,
played
on
Captain
purpose.
America.
Yeah.
I get that. But hear me out. If he grew his hair out a little bit, grew his beard out, got some scruff.
I mean,
going,
I've seen him
put some
in
sunglasses on.
Snowpiercer or whatever.
He
but
has Peter Fonda's look.
but he's not. See, the thing about
and he's
Chris
like
Evans
tall,
is he's first of all he's a little too big, but he doesn't have to be. I'm sure he could slim down, but he's not like just that cool.
I don't
Like
know.
that's the thing is that like well, and I mean it. I don't mean like Chris Evans isn't cool. I mean like
Wanna
the,
name this
the
episode,
iconic the way
We
that
Red
Peter Fonda
Roast
looks,
Chris Evans.
the way that Peter Fonda acts, and like just the air he
Come on,
gives
guys.
is just like fucking cool. Like almost to the point where like I'll shit all over Chris Hemsworth and everything. I can make fun of him and everything like that. But I know that if I ever met him, I'd be like, oh yeah, man, that's cool. yeah, you're really cool.
Yeah.
Like you can't. It's like George with the Mimbo.
Tony.
Yeah, with Tony.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, like, let me be
Yeah,
your
yeah.
best friend. Like I could see
Turns the
that.
hat backwards.
But he's the wrong kind of cool for this part. And that's who I was having a trouble like nailing down, that just like the person who is so counterculture. I think a lot of it is because there is no such thing almost as counterculture because it's so widely deviated at this point.
Well, okay. Well, then let's think about those criteria that you just brought up, right? Like, who is like of the time and who is like kind of living of the time and speaks of things of the time and is like really known for having conversations about I don't the things that are going on now. And
but it's a different style of
who bleeds.
What about James Franco?
Now.
Well, no,
James Franco as why?
Actually.
If he wasn't
Chase hates James Franco.
No, I don't hate
you're
James
not going to convince Chase.
I think he could be the perfect.
I think it's actually really
clean cut, cute counterculture guy.
I think that's really good. Actually, I think he could play it well.
He's canceled.
Oh,
because of
is he canceled?
Like rape and stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
alleged.
What? When?
Oh, right after, or whatever. It was a Me Too thing.
Oh, jeez. Oh, he was part of the Me Too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So he's gone. Can't use. That's the wrong counterculture.
Then we can go back to what I was gonna say. If we're talking about, because this guy is not canceled yet.
But also we had Phil Spector in the original, so a terrible representation. So let's keep somebody canceled.
So James Franco can play the connection,
the coke dealer, or the coke buyer.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I was gonna say someone that speaks of things of the time and who is ultimate cool for today and is about the counterculture and is known for having these conversations about these things. I think it's clear we have to go with... I don't think it's
conversations. I think that's the wrong style.
I think it's clear we have to go with Joe Rogan. And
I couldn't see that. There's like a
50-year-old.
There's like an even keel kind of calm, quiet guy, vibe that you get from Wyatt. Like, and I know you would know what I'm talking about, Bryce, but like a Matt vibe that you get from Wyatt.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Happy-go-lucky, like adventurous, but not like chomping at the bit adventurous.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, still kind of like, keeps it to himself a little bit, unless you poke him and ask him or something.
I mean, that's a lot of what you get from the Captain America character. Is it's very internalized.
I think Chris Evans might still be able to pull it off and has the look for it.
I just don't see the look.
But that's the thing. You just kind of have to imagine a little bit the hair growing.
No, I mean with a beard, I've seen it. Like with
you have seen it.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's been in a lot besides Captain America.
Yeah, I wouldn't know about that.
We got iPhone here.
Fucking iPhone is hacking us, putting ads on our shit. They're just mad because I covered my Apple logo with the movie app sticker.
I had to get it back in.
Fuckers.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm kind of at a loss myself. So you got that. I don't really have an answer, which that sucks. But I don't think James Franco's a bad choice either. If he's canceled, we can't use him. Yeah. Whatever, but. It's all alleged, but he would. If it's not alleged, he hasn't come back.
He would be able to do that had he not raped people. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what it was. I don't know that exactly. Nothing ever happened about it. He just isn't in movies anymore.
Gotcha.
And after he got that Golden Globe, they were like, "Oh, this all came out," and now he's gone. So.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. Well, fuck him.
Yeah.
So,
but they're all awful and they all fuck kids and everything. Allegedly,
that's true. This is true.
It's Hollywood. They suck.
That's true.
You do riff-raff. Riff-raff is Wyatt. Yeah.
Chase doesn't know what that is. He doesn't get down with the.
I know riff-raff from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh yeah.
That's one that we need to do.
Well, we should do that this Halloween.
Oh yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know that's kind of a bummer to leave on because I just can't. This one's a hard one.
It's hit us up in the comments.
Now, before we go though, what would be the soundtrack if, let's say, if they were doing a remake?
Recast the soundtrack?
If they were redoing this movie today,
and
it was 2020, it wasn't 1969.
Yeah.
What is that sound?
Well, you obviously have to get some Grassman in there, right, Dave? You got to throw some Jody in there.
Is that?
Yeah, I don't think that. I think that idea in like what they were going for and what their vision of, what they could do at their time. I think that's solely something of that year.
Yeah.
I don't think that's something that the youth of today even has, or even the youth of like even when I was young and stuff. I don't think that idea of freedom, but still being able to like make it on the road, things like that. I think it's hard to think like
That's
what songs would give me those vibes.
See,
All
I
the
agree
songs
with
that
you,
give me those vibes are
and I
from
agree
that
with
day,
you, but like if I didn't and I was a producer, some like executive producer in Hollywood is like, I know what's the cool sound. It's just
Right.
the whole thing is they would remake Easy Rider, but it would be all TikTok videos.
Well, I mean, I don't know but Easy Rider was still very much doing, like, was being a part of their counterculture at the time, and so if they were going for that today and wanted to use some underground music, then I'm sure
I think they would
there's
have
some
to.
good cuts out there, some good things they could find.
Either that or the soundtrack would end up being terrible. Trying to use, like hits that everybody knows and stuff like that.
Exactly. So it would depend on who's producing it, I suppose. Like who the studio is.
Yeah, and I think the idea of like just the idea of a remake of this is like that's the wrong thing.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like
No,
it's
that's
the whole, you're not like they did this to make a message film, to say something, and it was very specific to them.
Yeah.
And it's specific to their time to like just capitalize, like to redo it as a product that's being sold just to make money and everything. It goes against the grain of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
oh, dude, you know who would make a great George?
Who?
I don't know his name, but I think you're gonna agree with me on this.
You don't know most names, so
yeah, the guy that plays Ben in Ozark, season 3.
Ben,
the dude, the fucking guy that makes that season the shit. The brother, Wendy's brother.
Oh God, I love that guy.
I know.
Yeah,
I think he'd make a good, or even maybe a good. He's still not good for Wyatt,
No,
but a good
I
George.
like the George. I think that's great.
I think he'd have fun.
Yeah, and like I'd never seen him before.
Right, I know.
He was
Dude, he's
fucking great.
amazing.
Oh,
we haven't even talked about that.
I could see it being done, with like Chris Evans with some 94.5 The Buzz music, him and his buddies on like ninja crotch rockets on the highway.
I know. That's what I was thinking. I was like, motorcycles
like
are
Easy Rider.
Yeah, and motorcycles
they have remade Easy Rider, but just with cars. It's called Fast and the Furious, and it's done. Like,
no, it was Biker Boys.
Oh yeah,
with Dane Cook.
Oh no, they remade it. It was called Wild Hogs.
that's actually legit. Yeah,
it's
that's pretty much what it
sequel.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
Well, that's a good note to end on.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps it up here. Dave, do you have anything you would like to plug?
No plugs. Thanks for having me. Thanks for making me watch a movie again. It was awesome to have it fresh in my mind.
Yeah, well,
like
thanks.
See it as an adult, the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us. We'll have to have you back on. This was fun.
Yes, tons of fun. I would like to plug.
Bryce?
Yeah, as always, Jody C Buddies, stream Jody C Buddy in the Worlds on iTunes and Spotify. We have a new EP out there that's streaming everywhere. And then also very seriously go check out Dinara Pill. The new album, which should be out by now or will be out soon.
Do you have
streaming everywhere? I believe he's dropping it August 24th.
I think that's what you said last time.
Yeah,
there you go. That'd be a good new soundtrack for a redone of Easy Rider. That's a good road trip and music right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen to it and tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it is very good. And like Dave and I said before, we've been honored to be able to hear it already, and it is very good, and we're very proud of our brother. So go check that out, and then like us on Facebook.
Yeah,
and all
Facebook,
that shit.
Instagram, Twitter at The Movie Gap. We're also on YouTube now, so check us out there. And obviously, if you're listening, you know where to get us in podcast form. But you know who doesn't know? Your friends you haven't told yet. So tell them to listen.
Very true.
And tell them about us. And leave us some comments, and we'll talk. I literally have fucking nothing to do right now. So if you're commenting on any of our shit, you will hear back from me fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's everything here. All we have to say now is Nom in space.
Come on, Chaz.